Most Improved Fighter.
And listen, when it comes to Most Improved Fighter of the Year, we have so many honorable mentions that didn't make the top 5. So let's go through them. Pannie Kianzad. Her win over Sijara Eubanks very recently, amazing, but she had a great 2020, continues to make moves and start grooves, as the Otara Millionaires Club would have said back in the late 90s. But she's looked amazing since The Ultimate Fighter. Pannie Kianzad definitely deserving of a shout. And that one coming from a friend of the show, Drake Riggs. So make sure you check him out. He is the authority on not just women's MMA, but really making moves. Again, if you want some coverage on Rise in 26 that's coming up, Drake Riggs, definitely one of those guys as well. Corey Sandhagen. Listen, win, lose, or draw, Corey Sandhagen, very important fighter that you have to watch. But his win and his comeback against Marlon Moraes, great knockout. And there was definitely some improvements in striking in that fight. We have Cyril Gahn. Unfortunate, again, that he only fought once. Maybe he would be on this list. But the knockout of Junior Dos Santos, you got to talk about it. Calvin Kattar, 2 really big wins to his credit. He's going to be taking on Max Holloway early in January of this year. Again, continuing to make strides. Drew Dober, a guy that, again, a couple of years ago, couldn't make lightweight. What's the scoop, Drew? And all of a sudden, the hack press win huge. The win in his last fight, the Alexander Hernandez one, absolutely amazing. Drew Dober really primed for some big things. And finally, Bryce Mitchell, the Charles Rosa fight, amazing. The Andre Fili fight, not as amazing, but this guy continues to make big strides in the UFC. So, guys, let's talk about this top 5. John, I'm going to throw it over to you. We've got Moreno, Tybura, Vettori, Fiziev, and Holland. And I know a little bit later on, and I hope I'm not tipping my hand too far, there's some Gym of the Year conversation here with some of these guys. What really stands out to you about the top 5 of this Most Improved Fighter category?
Well, obviously, you know, when you talk about Kevin Holland, I mean, he was our male fighter of the year. So for that reason, obviously you don't get to be male fighter of the year. You obviously wasn't up for it last year. So, you know, we're going to spread the wealth out a little bit here. And to be honest, he if he's in the top 10, he's just got in the top 10. So there are people that are more deserving. The guys that stuck out for me this year that really kind of made a mark and really put themselves on the map, if you will, is Fiziev and Vettori. Like, Vettori seemed like he really made that push. We talked earlier about what happens at 85 if Adesanya goes away. Marvin Vettori happens at 85. And perhaps Marvin Vettori and Kevin Holland happen at 85 if Adesanya goes away. Fiziev, just this guy who, you know, you talk about a guy like Damian Maia, right, who it's like he just turns over the hourglass and the sand starts going through until you get your neck or your arm or something. You could say the same thing about Fiziev on the feet. His last fight, it seemed like he was just kind of toying around with the guy. He was hanging in. Next thing you know, he knocks him dead. So Fiziev is that kind of guy on his feet. Tybura, I'll leave Tybura for you. Brandon Moreno, because I don't have any interest in him in this category. But Brandon Moreno for me, and again, I hate to be the guy that continues to tip his hand, but Moreno went, listen, you've been saying this kid's name all year, right, before this year. But he's the only one of this group that got himself into a title fight. Right, that went from a guy who was sort of a young prospect, if you will, kind of a little bit above a contender series type guy, all the way to the belt, all the way to a championship type fight. So to me, that's what sticks out to me about this group.
Matt, let's throw it over to you because we have to. I mean, you look at the fight that Brandon Moreno had against Pantoja before leaving the UFC, has the one-off with LFA, comes back, has a draw against Askar Askarov. We've been tooting the horn of Askar Askarov since ACB, since the Twister. Like, we've really been pumping his tires. I know I picked him to win that fight. Brandon Moreno puts on a great performance. You could definitely make an argument that he won that fight. That was 2019. Beats Kai Kara France, beats Jussier Formiga, beats Brandon Royval. Those are in 2020. And then has the draw against Davison Figueiredo. Say what you will, whether or not he won that fight. I don't care about the argument. Matt, Brandon Moreno, is he at the top of the pops here?
Yeah, I don't know how he can't be. And you say the Kai Kara France win. Yes, it was last year, but let's just consider this one calendar year. So he fights Kai Kara France December 14th, 2019. He wins that fight, really impressive performance. Then he fights Jussier Formiga. Great win, that was in March. So then he comes out, fights Brandon Royval. That was that weird situation because he was supposed to fight Perez. Perez ends up getting the title shot. TKO's Royval. And then December 12th, so he does all 4 of those fights within 1 year. And he has a draw with a champ who no one thought he had a chance to beat. And we talked about this for our female champ of the year. The odds do matter. And the fact that he was such a big underdog to Figueiredo, everyone counted him out. And I know, listen, we love Brandon Moreno probably more than anyone outside of his immediate family. We didn't even think he was going to have a chance in that fight. And for him to perform the way that he did, and not only perform to such a level that rewarded him for a draw, but he's going to get the next fight, and the odds are going to be a lot closer. Like, Brandon Moreno has a real chance to be the champ by the end of 2021. He might not beat Figueiredo all that impressively. He might not get that fight right away, but there's a real chance Brandon Moreno going from the most improved fighter this year, he could even be fighter of the year next year, just depending on how that title shot goes. So I have no problem at all giving this to Brandon Moreno.
And again, shouts, Marcin Tybura is a fun one because he had that Jan Blachowicz type run there where he was losing to the upper echelon of competition. You sprinkle in a win, and then all of a sudden he's on a giant win streak, finishing Greg Hardy. Like, Marcin Tybura, for me, definitely deserves to be there. You look at Marvin Vettori and King's MMA, and what can you say about Marvin Vettori? I mean, the guy is beating the brakes off poor baby K. Carl Roberson. He goes into a short notice main event against Jack Hermanson, and that left hand like a piston, just continuing to shoot his shot. He looked amazing. His cardio was there too. You look at Fiziev, the win that he had to start the year over Mark Jacasey, that was one that bit us in the ass, man. We said, listen, this is without a doubt a lock of the night. Mark Jacasey's going to beat Fiziev. Fiziev looked amazing in that fight of the night there, and then finishes Renato Moicano. And then for Kevin Holland, I mean, it's neck and neck. Again, he's our male fighter of the year, but again, like John Franklin said, you got to spread the wealth. So for us, Brandon Moreno, your most improved fighter of the year, definitely deserving to the fighter coming out of Mexico. Let's parlay that into our comeback of the year, and I'm really excited to talk about this one.